Colbyjack.net is proud to present From the Flames by Trisha M. Wilson. The people of the fire, the Blesa, led by their queens, have ruled the island of Alfeyju and oppressed the Driva, the people of the ice, for more than 16 generations. With the Drivian King in hiding and little hope on the horizon, the Driva looked to one person to save them from the vile Blesa, the Diviana. According to legend, the divinely gifted Diviana will one day overthrow the Blesa and restore the Drivian King to his rightful throne. But with the search having lasted for more than 400 years, will the Diviana ever come to light? Willow is the slave of the Raskpil family. But at the age of 4, 20 years have passed since her life irrevocably changed. Her existence is no worse than any other slave, but within, Willow wonders if there isn't something more she should be doing with her life other than serving the ungrateful. Ordered to travel with her master's family to Sondertoft, so her master's adult children can take part in an ancient rite of passage, Willow is shocked when she learns that she too must participate. Will she fail, as all before her have? Will she rise to the challenge and become stronger after passing through the flames? From the Flames, Episode 6. Willow, at the very back of the pack, decided she was going to take her time and not rush straight down one of the 3 paths and into the heart of the island, as many had done. Walking at a reasonable pace down the center path, she kept her eyes open for anything that didn't fit in this tree paradise. As she entered the woods, something drew her attention to the right side of the path. Stopping to see what it was, she realized that it was a wooden plaque stuck into the ground, covered in vines. Tearing off the vines, she read the runes on the plaque. What you search for is within your sight. If you remember these clues with all your might, 3 trials you will pass through and have to defeat to find the prize for which you seek. First, Mother Nature is forever giving instead of taking. Give what is yours to her in thanksgiving. Her welcoming arms will show you the way. Be filled with gratitude and be sure to obey. Second, remember what the world has taught you. Be it from the sea's water, winter's ice, spring's fire, or the earth's dew. Match them with their natural enemy, and you shall be rewarded handsomely. Finally, only the brave of heart can pass through this undying fire. Look inside and have faith. You will be rewarded and be inspired, for within you will receive the ultimate prize, if in yourself you simply believe. So continue along the path. Be aware of the other's wrath, for the start of your quest will come in the form of a stony test. Willow's eyes opened wider as she finished reading. This was a map to finding the Diviana, and by the looks of it, she'd been the first to find it, at least amongst her fellow searchers. Looking around to see if anyone was watching her from behind one of the various trees or shrubs which surrounded her, she saw nobody. This comforted her some, because she didn't want anyone else to see the plaque. Turning her attention back to the plaque, she read it again, this time trying to memorize it. She knew that if she was going to find the Diviana, she couldn't take the plaque with her, and since she didn't have any parchment to copy the clues onto, she would have to remember it all. 5 minutes later, Willow had the clues memorized and had rewrapped the plaque with vines. No reason to leave it exposed for the others to find. As she walked down the path with her eyes open for something made of stone, Willow couldn't believe the good fortune that had come upon her. She actually had clues that would help her find the Diviana. At least she now had a fighting chance and wasn't running all over the island not knowing what to look for. As the path twisted and turned, Willow entered a grassy meadow among the trees. Along the edges of the meadow clearing, the grasses greatly differed in height, from knee length all the way up to waist height. In the rest of the meadow, however, the grass was only as high as a person's ankle. It was as if someone had come through before they'd arrived and cut the grasses so people could pass through easily. Amongst the outer grasses there were shrubs and trees of various shapes and sizes. While one tree was only a few feet taller than Willow, another one was taller than 3 grown men put end to end. This drastic difference in tree height made the sun's light sporadic at best. "There must be something here," Willow muttered to herself. "Why else would the path lead here?" She decided to search the perimeter for any stones or rocks that might be what the plaque had referenced. She was halfway around when she found a large, waist-high, flat stone hiding within the grasses. Brushing off the leaves and forest debris, she felt deep carvings in the stone. The carvings were of 2 arms meeting at a circular indentation in the rock. By brushing off more vines, Willow saw that in addition to the arms, there were carvings of waterfalls, mountains, flowers, and trees. A magnificent display of nature revealed in aged lines carved so long ago, but looking as if they were carved only a few years before. Such was the detail and the lack of wear she saw and felt. Nature. This must be the first trial the plaque spoke of. Now what did it say? Something about how Mother Nature is always giving, and that I should give something to her. But what? What do I have to give? Willow asked herself. I'm a slave. I don't own anything. Willow looked around, searching for something that she could give that would satisfy Mother Nature. But even if I do find something worthy of her, what does it say that will make her happy? The plaque specifically said that it had to be something of mine. Pacing around the little clearing, thinking hard, the answer slowly came to her. My mother's arm cuff. I could give her it. But it was my mother's, Willow said, starting to argue with herself. It's the only thing I have left of her. If I give it to Mother Nature, I'll be left with nothing. No, I can't give it up. I won't. It means too much to me. There must be something else I can give to her. Willow walked around the stone, thoughts running through her mind, trying to justify keeping her mother's arm cuff and not giving it as the offering Mother Nature demanded. It's the only thing I have that is mine, and not something my family gave me, she muttered. It's my most prized possession. No, there must be another way. I could give her... The sun moved across a small patch of sky Willow could see while she debated herself. A cloud suddenly covered the sun, dimming the world around her, and in that second, Willow came to a decision. If I want to continue on this quest, I'm just going to have to give it to her. It's the only thing I have to give. There's no choice. Taking off the arm cuff, and with tears falling down her face, Willow reluctantly walked over to the stone altar. Looking down at the circular indentation, she gradually realized that it was the same size as the cuff. She stared at that indentation for a while, before she finally forced herself to put the arm cuff into it. Willow stared at the arm cuff, waiting for something to happen, but nothing did. Brushing the tears from her face, Willow tried to think of what she might have done wrong. But she couldn't think of anything. Her eyes swept the stone carvings, trying to find an answer, when her eyes caught upon an image she hadn't seen before. Completely different from the other scenes, this one was of a person, a woman, kneeling down in front of a stone altar with her head bowed. Willow was unable to see the woman's face, but there was something about her that felt familiar. Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong, she mumbled before getting down on her knees and bowing her head. Nothing happened for a long time. Willow felt the sun's warmth come back as the cloud gradually revealed the sun. A ray of light broke through the treetops and shone upon the altar, and still nothing happened. Willow kept her head down, silently thanking Mother Nature for everything she had given Willow. Willow whispered, "Thank you." At her whispered words, the trees, which had been rustling in the wind, went silent. Nothing moved or made a sound. The world around her was silent for 5 heartbeats. Then Willow heard the grinding rumbles of stone grinding against stone. Slowly lifting her eyes from the grass, Willow saw that what had once been the solid stone altar had now split itself into 2 and separated, revealing stone steps which led into the ground. Her mother's arm cuff, which had been in the center of the split, was nowhere to be seen. Shaking, and with blood pounding in her ears, Willow got to her feet. She crept closer to the stone steps and the inky blackness they descended into. The stone steps spiraled around, and within 4 steps, disappeared into the engulfing darkness which seemed to deepen in the brightness of the sunny day. Willow took a deep breath. "Everything's going to be okay," she said to herself, trying to calm down her jittering nerves. "I can do this. Nothing bad is going to happen." Taking another deep breath, Willow stepped onto the first stone step. Nothing happened. What exactly she was expecting, she didn't really know, but the lack of excitement calmed her. Now more confident, she took another step, and then another, descending into the darkness with nothing to guide her except the steps and the metal railing which had suddenly appeared. Not even 10 steps later, Willow heard a horrible noise. Above her, there was a terrible rumble and screeching sound, the same sound she had heard when the stone altar had opened up. Tilting her head back, she saw the dim sunlight, which had penetrated the darkness, slowly disappearing as the stone opening closed behind her. Willow whipped around and ran back up the stairs, but by the time she made it up the 10 steps, it was too late. The door was closed. "How am I going to get out?" Willow panicked as she felt along the stone, trying to find a way to open them up again. However, she couldn't find the opening or any trigger to open the stone doorway. Pounding on the rock in frustration, she tried to come up with some way to get out, but her mind refused to work. All she could think was, "I'm trapped! I'm trapped!" A sob of despair welled in her throat, and she battled it. If she gave in now, she'd become useless. And I'm not useless. Giving the wall one more pound, Willow looked down and noticed that below her there was light. Light that she hadn't seen before. Walking down the steps slowly, the light grew. She still couldn't see what was below her, but she thought she saw an end to the stars. Then she felt weight on her left arm. Bringing her hand to her arm, she was shocked to feel her mother's arm cuff there, as it had been before she'd given it to Mother Nature. Her heart felt overflowing with joy. She hadn't lost the one thing that meant so much to her. Bewilderment ran through her. How did the arm cuff end up on her arm? Where had it disappeared to when the altar had opened? Willow had no answers. But the return of her mother's arm cuff gave her a feeling of peacefulness she hadn't realized she'd been missing. As she finally reached the end of the long staircase, Willow's pace slowed. Before her was a room which appeared to be carved of ice. It wasn't cold, as Willow would have expected an ice room to be, but it still sent shivers down her spine. Stepping gently on the ice-block floor, the stairs that had brought her to this room disappeared. She couldn't even see a ceiling or the rocks which she'd first passed through, for the darkness above her was too encompassing. The disappearance of the stairs didn't surprise or shock Willow, as she'd been at earlier events. "Should have known that this was a succeed or never leave here quest," she muttered as she looked around the room. On each of the 4 walls there were carvings: a flame, an iceberg, a waterfall, and a flowering tree. Below each carving was a notch, as if something should go into it. In the center of the room, Willow walked up to a pedestal which held 4 icicles, each with a carving of an ancient rune engraved on them. From the little school Willow had been allowed to attend, she recognized that these were engravings from the ancient runes for fire, water, ice, and earth. Looking from the icicles to the notches, she said, "So, each of these icicles goes in each of the notches. If I remember correctly, the plaque said something about matching each element with their enemy." Pacing in front of the icicles, Willow thought hard. Let's try to figure this out logically. Let's start with ice. Who's ice's enemy? Well, that seems easy enough. Fire. It has to be fire. Because we are the ice, and our enemy is fire. And if fire's our enemy, then ice is obviously fire's enemy. Picking up the fire and ice icicles, Willow walked over to Ice's wall and placed the fire icicle into the notch below the iceberg carving. It fit, as if it were meant to go there. Bolstered by this, she went to Fire's wall and placed the ice rune icicle. Again, the fit was perfect. Eagerly coming back to the other two icicles, Willow said, "So these two must go on the opposite walls too." Grabbing the water and earth icicle, she went to the earth wall. She didn't place the icicle immediately, however. Her eyes followed every curve of the flowering tree. The tree, even though carved in ice, was beautifully vibrant. A sudden thought made her turn around and look at the other three walls. Each of the carvings pulsed with a type of life, a type of vibrancy that made them shimmer. These were not normal carvings. But then, what about this journey had been normal? Willow turned back to the earth wall and placed the water icicle. For a third time, the icicle fit like a custom-made boot fit its owner's foot. Perfect in every way, and without any hint that might not be correct. Confident that she'd been right, Willow moved to the last wall, Water's wall, and after taking a steady breath, placed the last icicle into the notch before her. Turning around to face the center of the room, she looked around excitedly, expecting to see a door appear, or more stairs, or something pointing the way to the last trial. But she saw nothing. If I was correct, something would have happened, right? So I must have put them in the wrong spots. What did the plaque say exactly? Willow asked, looking around the room for inspiration. It said something about remembering what the world had taught me. Then there was a line about the 4 different elements. Then it said to match them with their enemy. Wait, it said natural enemy. Willow suddenly remembered. Ice and fire might not necessarily be natural enemies. Think. Reasoning out different arguments, again and again, she assigned icicles to the elements on the walls. Still nothing happened. This work is released under Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike license. Do what you want with it. Remix it, re-record it, transcribe it, share it. Just don't sell it or change the terms of the license. Your creation must be released under an Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike license. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.